Welcome to Scary Voice, where every story drags you deeper into the darkness. Are you ready to be scared? Story number 1: The Dark Magic of Soul Retrieval. On a quiet autumn night in rural Louisiana, the moon hung low over the cypress trees, bathing the swamps in a pale, ghostly glow. The old Bridge town was the kind of place where everyone knew each other, where secrets were passed through whispers instead of headlines. But one story was never spoken out loud. The story of the Atha ritual, a forbidden soul-returning dark magic whispered to have roots in West African witchcraft and old Cajun voodoo. In 1996, Rebecca Collins, a 32-year-old nurse, moved into her late grandmother's Victorian house on the outskirts of town. She wasn't superstitious. She worked double shifts at the local hospital, rarely believed in anything she couldn't explain with science. But the house had always given her chills as a child, especially the attic, which her grandmother kept locked with a heavy, rusted chain. 2 weeks after moving in, Rebecca received a call that shattered her world. Her younger brother, Evan, had died in a car accident on the interstate. He was only 24. The family buried him on a rainy Sunday, and though she tried to be strong, Rebecca felt like her soul had been ripped apart. Evan wasn't just her brother. He'd been her best friend since childhood. The night after the funeral, Rebecca sat alone in the attic. She'd finally found the key to the lock in an old sewing box. The attic smelled of cedar and dust, filled with trunks and yellowed photographs. In the farthest corner sat a wooden chest carved with strange symbols she didn't recognize. Inside were journals, dried herbs, melted candles, and a thin black book with the title written in faded French. Ritual pour ramener l'âme perdue. Ritual to bring back the lost soul. Her grandmother had been a respected midwife, known for her remedies and superstitions, but this book wasn't medicine. It was dark magic. Rebecca flipped through the pages, heart pounding. She couldn't read all the French, but some words were clear. Le cercle des sangs, minuit, la âme appelée. Blood circle, midnight, the summoned soul. Then she found the English translation on a folded paper tucked inside. It spoke of a ritual called Atha Ferrano, which roughly translated to turning back the soul, a forbidden magic that could call a dead person's soul back into the world, but at a terrible price. Rebecca laughed nervously. "This is insane," she whispered. "I'm a nurse, not a witch." But grief does strange things to the human mind. 3 nights later, at exactly midnight, she drew the blood circle in her living room, using her own blood mixed with ashes from Evan's burned photograph. She lit black candles, whispered the chants phonetically, her voice trembling. The house was silent except for the creaking floorboards. And then the air changed. It grew colder, heavier, as if the house was sinking underwater. The candles flickered violently, her vision blurred, and for a brief moment, she felt a presence standing behind her. She turned around. Nothing, but the scent of Evan's favorite cologne filled the air. The ritual instructions ended with one final line. "Once the soul has turned, Do not look into the mirror until dawn. Rebecca, shaking, stumbled to the bathroom to splash her face. But as soon as she glanced at the mirror, she froze. Evan was standing behind her, pale, wet. His eyes were dark, glassy pools. His lips moved, but no sound came out. Rebecca screamed and turned, but there was no one there. The mirror cracked on its own, a thin line splitting straight down the middle. For the next few days, strange things happened. Rebecca heard footsteps in the attic every night at 3 a.m. Her brother's room, which she'd left locked, was found open each morning. Evan's favorite blue hoodie appeared folded on her bed, though it had been buried with him. At first, she told herself she was hallucinating from grief, but then, one morning, she found muddy footprints, bare feet, leading from the back door to the living room, and her front door had been deadbolted the whole night. Rebecca called her friend Officer Mark Jensen, a local cop who'd known her since childhood. He checked the house, found nothing, and gently suggested therapy. You've been through a lot. Sometimes the mind creates things. But Rebecca knew what she'd seen, and the worst was yet to come. 2 weeks after the ritual, Rebecca woke at 3:07 a.m. to soft humming. It was Evan's voice, singing the lullaby her mother used to sing. She followed the sound to the attic. The door was wide open. Inside, the candles she'd used that night were burning again, even though she'd thrown them away. And in the center of the floor stood Evan, or something that looked like him. His skin was ashen, his eyes unnaturally black, his smile too wide. "Becky," he whispered, "you brought me back." Rebecca screamed and stumbled back. "No, this isn't real." He stepped forward, each movement unnatural, jerky. "You called me. You promised." "I didn't promise anything." Evan's face twitched violently, and his voice deepened into something inhuman. "A soul returned, must be replaced." Before Rebecca could run, he lunged at her, but when she blinked, he vanished. The next morning, Rebecca found claw marks on the attic floorboards in the shape of a circle, exactly where the blood ritual had been drawn. Terrified, Rebecca searched the black book again. On the last page, written in her grandmother's handwriting, she found something she'd missed before. The Atha ritual does not bring back the loved one. It opens a doorway. Something else wears their face. It will not leave until the debt is paid. One soul for another. She realized too late what she had done. She had opened a door and something had come through wearing Evan's shape. Desperate, she contacted a retired voodoo priestess named Madame Claudine, living deep in the swamps. She listened silently, her cloudy eyes betraying no emotion. When she finished, Claudine said, "Child, you didn't bring your brother back. You summoned a Luguru, a soul thief. It lives in the shadows between the dead and the living, and now it's hunting." Rebecca begged for a way to undo it. Claudine agreed to perform a banishment ritual, but warned that the Luguru would try to claim a soul before it was forced to leave. You must not let it touch you or anyone else. The ritual was set for All Hallows Eve, when the veil between worlds was thinnest. On October 31st, the wind howled through the trees. Rebecca and Claudine prepared the house with salt lines, protective symbols, and candles. At midnight,
Claudine began chanting in an ancient tongue. The air dropped instantly. The wattles shook. Every light in the house went out. And then Evan appeared at the top of the stairs, grinning. "Becky," he whispered, "why are you trying to send me away? Don't you love me?" Rebecca trembled. "You're not Evan." He laughed, a distorted sound like two voices overlapping. "I am whatever you need me to be." Suddenly, the salt lines blew away in a gust of cold wind. The candles went out. Claudine shouted, "It's in its true form now! Don't let it touch you!" The figure at the stairs shifted, bones cracking, limbs elongating until it became a tall, shadowy creature with
hollow eyes and a jagged mouth. It screamed, a sound that shattered 2 windows instantly. The banishment began. The air spun violently. Rebecca clutched a photo of Evan and whispered, "I'm sorry." The creature lunged toward her, but at the last moment, Claudine threw a handful of black powder into the air. A flash of light filled the house. The creature shrieked as if being torn apart, its body disintegrating into smoke. Then, silence. Rebecca collapsed, exhausted. Claudine smiled weakly. "It's done," she whispered. But Rebecca noticed something strange. Claudine's shadow on the wall was still moving, even though she was standing still. Before Rebecca could react, Claudine gasped, clutching her chest. Her eyes turned black. She whispered, "One soul must be replaced." And then she fell, dead. Rebecca screamed for help, but by the time paramedics arrived, Claudine was gone. The coroner said it was a heart attack, but Rebecca knew better. The Lugaru had claimed her soul to close the ritual. The house returned to normal. No more footsteps, no more shadows. But Rebecca moved out a month later, leaving the black book behind, locked in the attic where she'd found it. Years later, in 2019, a young couple bought the house to renovate it. While cleaning the attic, the husband found the old black book. Laughing, he opened it and jokingly read one of the chants out loud. That night, the couple's security camera captured something terrifying. A pale figure standing in the hallway at 3:07 a.m. humming a lullaby. This story is based on local legends and documented incidents from rural Louisiana involving soul-summoning rituals that blend West African and Cajun voodoo traditions. Athaferano is believed by some to be a real, though extremely dangerous, dark magic ritual. Whether you believe it or not, don't ever open doors you don't know how to close. Story number 2. The Shadow Binding Ritual. In 2003, in the quiet farming town of Salem Ridge, Pennsylvania, 17-year-old Jessica Miller had one dream: to leave her small town behind. Her father had died years earlier, and her mother, a strict religious woman, forbade anything remotely unholy in their house. Jessica spent most of her time alone in her attic bedroom, surrounded by old records and sketchbooks. But behind their house stood something strange, an abandoned barn that once belonged to the property. Town kids avoided it. They claimed to see shadows moving inside at night. Jessica didn't believe in ghost stories until she found something hidden beneath its floorboards. The discovery. One hot July afternoon, Jessica wandered into the barn with a flashlight. The air was thick, stale, smelling of earth and mold. In the corner, she found a trapdoor under a pile of rotting hay. It led to a small underground storage room. There, wrapped in burlap, was a wooden box covered in carved symbols, circles, stars, and unfamiliar markings. Inside, she found an old leather journal, several black candles, a hand mirror with a cracked surface, and a piece of paper titled "The Shadow Binding Ritual for Power Beyond Death." The instructions were handwritten in shaky English. The ritual promised to bind a human's shadow to an ancient entity, granting protection, wealth, or revenge, depending on the caster's intent. But it also warned, once the shadow is bound, it can never be unbound without a soul being taken. Jessica laughed nervously. "Creepy old stuff," she muttered, stuffing it all into her backpack. That night, while lying awake, she stared at the cracked mirror. It seemed to shimmer faintly in the moonlight. Her father's death had left the family in debt, and she hated watching her mother struggle. Part of her whispered, "What if it's real? What if I could help us?" 2 nights later, Jessica sneaked into the barn with candles, the mirror, and the journal. At midnight, she followed the steps exactly. She drew a circle on the floor with salt and ashes, lit the black candles, placed the mirror in front of her, and whispered the incantation. "I bind my shadow to the one below. May it guard, may it give, may it rise." At first, nothing happened. Then the temperature dropped sharply. Her flashlight flickered out. A low humming filled the room, vibrating through the wood. Jessica glanced at the mirror and froze. Her reflection was smiling, but she wasn't. Slowly, her reflection raised its hand and pressed it against the glass. A black stain spread across the glass like ink in water. Her shadow on the wall detached, bending unnaturally, stretching upward. The candles blew out. She ran out of the barn screaming. The next morning, something strange happened. Jessica's mother found $10,000 in cash in their mailbox. No note, no explanation. A week later, a local bully who tormented Jessica for years was found unconscious in the woods, mumbling about a shadow with no eyes. Jessica began to feel powerful. She aced her exams without studying, people treated her with unusual respect, and strange coincidences favored her at every turn. But something was wrong with her shadow. At night, when she passed by street lamps, her shadow sometimes lagged behind. Sometimes it faced her. And once, just once, she saw it wave when she wasn't moving. She told herself it was her imagination. 3 weeks later, Jessica visited Mrs. Hollis, a retired librarian who'd lived in Salem Ridge for 80 years. She showed her the leather journal. The old woman went pale. "Where did you find this?" Jessica explained. The old woman trembled. "Child, this isn't a joke. The shadow binding ritual is part of Appalachian death magic. It was banned generations ago. Those who tried it were found dead, their shadows burned into the walls. The entity doesn't give without taking. It's waiting for the right moment." Jessica, trying to stay calm, asked how to undo it.
Mrs. Hollis whispered, "There is no undoing without a soul exchange. If the shadow stays unclaimed by the new moon, it will claim the caster." The new moon was 5 days away. That night, Jessica woke up to the sound of scratching.
It came from inside her room, the wall near her closet. The moonlight showed her shadow on the wall, but she wasn't sitting upright. The shadow was. It slowly turned its head toward her. Its eyes were two empty, glowing holes. Jessica screamed and turned on the lamp. The shadow instantly snapped back to normal, but the scratches on the wall were real, long, claw-like marks. Over the next few days, the phenomena worsened. Her shadow began appearing in places she wasn't, like the hallway or outside the house. Her dog refused to enter her room and barked at her wall at night. When she looked into the cracked mirror, she saw herself without a shadow, just darkness swirling behind her. She realized Mrs. Hollis was right. The entity was waiting for the new moon to take her soul. On the night of the new moon, Jessica decided to end it. She returned to the barn at 11:50 p.m., journal in hand, ready to perform the reversal, even if it cost her something. But when she entered, the barn door slammed shut behind her. The candles lit on their own. Her shadow stretched across the entire barn wall like a giant creature, no longer resembling her shape. It had long fingers, a distorted face, and it began peeling itself off the wall. Jessica screamed, "What do you want?" A deep, layered voice filled the barn. "You offered your shadow, now your soul." She tried to recite the reversal chant, but the pages burst into flames. The shadow lunged at her, pinning her to the ground. The barn lights flickered violently. Just as it was about to envelop her completely, the barn door burst open. Mrs. Hollis stood there, holding an old oil lantern, chanting in Latin. The shadow screamed and recoiled as the lantern's light burned through it like acid. "Run, child!" she shouted. Jessica ran outside, collapsing on the grass. Behind her, the barn filled with an unearthly roar. Then, silence. The next morning, the barn was nothing but ashes. The police said it was an accidental fire caused by teen trespassing. Jessica never spoke about the ritual again. She tried to rebuild her life, but sometimes, late at night, she noticed her shadow move just a fraction too slow, or wave in a mirror when she didn't. Mrs. Hollis died 3 months later. The cause? Sudden cardiac arrest. On the wall above her bed, investigators found a perfect black silhouette, a shadow burned into the plaster. Jessica understood then. The entity hadn't been destroyed. Mrs. Hollis's soul had been taken in her place. She burned the mirror and buried the remains of the box in the woods. But deep down, she knew you can't bury a shadow.